Ich habe schon Orgel gespielt, aber nur mit den
As a school child, I used to play the organ, but only on the manual. These are my organ shoes. They are somewhat worn out. They don't get polished anymore. My father was a pastor, and my mother was an organist. She could not always come with us to the various churches. My dad gave 3 to 4 worship services on Sunday, and sometimes I went with him and played the organ in these village churches. But I played the organ more like a piano. It was only to accompany the congregation when they sang. That was the most important thing. And then for a long time I had nothing to do with it at all. Then I started after the wall fell. If you have such a beautiful organ, then you can't play it like a piano. It just doesn't work. So I really needed something more. So I took organ lessons and even took the examination. There was the ABC exam and then the qualification certification. And the exam I took is really the qualification certification. The organ has keys like a piano, but a piano has only one manual, called a keyboard. The piano has a keyboard, a manual, that has more keys in its length and breadth. But the organ has several manuals. My beautiful organ here has 2 manuals. And a second manual. So in this way, I can change the tones. And now when I play a hymn, after playing the last verse, which ends with a chord, I hold that chord for a little while, so the congregation knows it's really the end, and there is nothing more to sing. And that's what the organ can do. The organ holds the tone as long as I have my hands on the manual or my feet on the pedals. On Christmas Eve, if I don't have enough time to pull out all the stops, I use the tutti for "Oh, how joyfully." This automatically activates the whole organ, even though I haven't pulled any stops. I can ignore all the stops, and I still get the sound. Just because I've stepped on the tutti pedal, a real helper. Really enjoy playing are often hymns. But I always think that people should not hear hymns all the time. They need to hear that I can play other pieces as well. For example, this is one of these pieces. Let me play it once. First, I pull out my stops so that everything sounds good. This piece is very well known, and that's why the people like to hear it. Then there is this beautiful hymn. Also, one of my favorite hymns is "Lord, we beseech thee, come and bless us." Herr, wir bitten, komm und segne uns, lege auf uns deine Hände. Da, 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 bam, 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 bam. And yes, even though I don't know the text, I still sing along, even if it is only la la la. I sing along and virtually breathe with the congregation, and I know how the melody goes. I'm not so strict with the rhythm, the beat. I breathe as I need and watch the congregation sing with me. And sometimes they come and say, "Today you really played quickly," or something like that.
Das höre ich auch. In dieser Kirche
There is a big problem in this church. I can hardly see the pastor because he stands so far back there and the chandelier is in the way. In most churches, there is a mirror on the organ. I have a mirror too, but it doesn't help me at all because I can't see anything in it. So I turn around this way. I'm always moving. I can see when the pastor back there says something. And Mr. Menard is, how shall I say, flexible and spontaneous. He simply shouts up when there is something important. Or I pay attention when he writes something for me. Once he wrote verses 1 to 5, and I, unfortunately, did not check the hymn at home. I realized only in church that the hymn had only 4 verses. So I started to play a 5th verse. Then I realized, aha, the congregation was not singing, so I ended the hymn. As my grandmother always says, the fool thinks it has to be just so, but the wise person says to himself, it can't be any different. We once had a wonderful service. It was Pentecost, it was confirmation. There was a brass choir, everything was wonderful. For the sermon, I stupidly turned off the organ, turned off the bellows, so the noise would not disturb the others. And when I turned the motor of the bellows on again, there was no sound, nothing at all. There was simply nothing. Believe me, that was quite a great shock. But at that time, we still had a digital organ. It was a terrible instrument. It must have been a cinema organ. I ended the worship service with the brass choir and playing that cinema organ. The following Sunday, as repairs don't get done so quickly, a church elder said to me, I'll work the bellows for you. The bellows still work. He went around and opened the doors and did what we did as confirmands. He worked the bellows and pumped air. And I can still do that too. So now it's finished. Now one has air until this pointer sinks again. But I still have stage fright, actually every Sunday. So when I come to church, before I come to church, actually already at home, I say a prayer so that everything goes well. And also because I have to drive to church so that I don't have an accident on the way here. I don't know if it always has the effect I expect. But it definitely calms me down. That I'm sitting here at my age is because there is no young talent to take my place. That's a real pity. I've been in this church now for 21 years. And I think it's about time that a successor is found. I would like to introduce him to the mysteries of this wonderful instrument. I'd also be happy if he would play on the manual only. The main thing is that the congregation is supported during its hymn singing. Now I can take off my shoes.